are back again for at least to cover another pay-per-view, get that out of the way. Our last pay-per-view was Money in the Bank. And after that, we had the draft. So there's going to be a lot of things mixed up here probably as far as what guy goes where. The next big pay-per-view will be a Raw pay-per-view. It'll be Battleground. And so I'm just going to jump into that right here. There'd be quite a bit of build-up, of course, between the draft that would happen the next night after Money in the Bank on Raw, and then the next night on SmackDown. Guys being traded back and forth, so there would be a slight build-up. The biggest thing here would be Triple H reintroducing Evolution. And that would most notably be because Randy Orton would be shifted to Raw. Triple H and Orton would come out. Orton has recently turned heel, hasn't had the greatest track record on SmackDown as of late. But Triple H needs somebody he can count on. So he brings in Orton, and the future is Drew McIntyre, the Mr. Money in the Bank winner for Monday Night Raw. He's still on Raw. So you have Orton, you have McIntyre, and Triple H brings up from NXT Lars Sullivan. So this would round out Evolution for us with Triple H in the Ric Flair position. So this will be our big challenge going forth with our big stable aligning against Braun Strowman. So we're just going to start out with the matches that would happen at the pay-per-view, some of the lower card. Revival versus Goldust and Hurricane, a recent tag team. I kind of see Goldust and Hurricane because Goldust can still go. I think Hurricane got a great reaction at the Rumble. I could see him coming out dressed up like the Hurricane. Maybe him and Goldust dressed sort of similar. Goldust with the face paint, and either a Hurricane with the face paint or the mask. Maybe he goes full face paint too. Maybe they both wear a full bodysuit, gold and green. Kind of a comedy tag team, but still they can get the job done in the ring if it needs to be. So them versus the Revival, continuing along this sort of the Revival with their attitude of their time is now, kind of take out the old fogies. But the Revival has a very old style too, so I think that would be a good match, good lower card match. Jey Uso would be shipped to Raw now. I'd have the Usos split up as a team. And he would be facing off against another guy that got shipped off to Raw, Baron Corbin. And everybody knows I'm not a huge Baron Corbin fan. Jey Uso would pick up the win here. Revival would pick up the win in their tag match, by the way. I would actually have Drew McIntyre versus John Cena. And I found that booking Cena in this scenario where I have to keep working with storylines and sort of the WWE mentality of who's around and the various possibilities, and the fact that nobody wants to turn John Cena heel. It's sort of a difficult to book John Cena for me, because my biggest thing is I want to turn John Cena heel. Besides that, it's difficult to book someone who's not going to be around for long term, especially when the main event scene doesn't need him if he's not going to be around. So I booked him here because Drew McIntyre could obviously use the rub with a win over Cena. But I'm also kind of left hanging because I don't know what to do with Cena after this point, really. There's a possibility that you could have McIntyre steal the win by having Lashley show up. Maybe he shows up in the crowd, gets Cena's attention, something to that effect, and Lashley pretty much steals the win by cheating. I mean, McIntyre steals the win by cheating. Either which way, McIntyre would steal the win, whether they use the briefcase or whatever. I'd have Woken Matt Hardy versus Brother Nero with Bray Wyatt in his corner. Brother Nero, who recently turned on his brother. And this is one of those things where it's the gimmick and the characters are so wishy-washy back and forth. Woken Matt would actually win, and Matt and Brother Nero would reunite after this match and get together, and they would take out Bray, kind of trudging this feud along still yet to some sort of resolution. And it's I don't know the would this feud ever end the way it's already been booked. It's hard to say. They just had the deletion at the Hardy Compound match, and it's fit with everything they've done so far. It's just not something that I'm extremely fond of. It was entertaining, but not something I would book. I have the grudge match, Samoa Joe versus Dean Ambrose. It would probably be gimmicked up somewhat, either maybe a last man standing match. And I would actually have Ambrose portrayed crazier than ever, more of a loose cannon than ever before. While he's still face, maybe he's borderline, going heel just because of his gimmick, and he wants revenge so bad. I think on some level that would get a little sympathy for Samoa Joe, just because the fans are already like Joe. So it would be an interesting feud. You'd really have to listen to the crowd and see what they want and adjust it from there. I think a crazy Dean Ambrose who's just become obsessed with taking out Joe, and it would start to show some heel qualities. And I think eventually it would turn Ambrose heel, which is what I'd be going for, in that he would not care who got in his way, so he'd exact revenge. I would actually have that kind of costing him the match with Joe winning here, and that Ambrose throwing fear to the wind, and he pretty much takes himself out. Then I'll do the Universal Tag Title match, the Bludgeon Brothers, the champions, versus the Authors of Pain. It'd probably be gimmicked up into like a steel cage match or something. As we know before, the Authors of Pain just never could get the belts away from the Good Brothers. And so the Bludgeon Brothers come over with the other belts, and now rebranded Universal Tag Titles. And we have these two pretty much the same, kind of similar gimmick, big monster tag teams just destroying one another. So yeah, inside of a steel cage would be cool. Kind of gimmicked up. I would actually have the Bludgeon Brothers edge out the win, and keep the Authors of Pain chasing. Wouldn't chase forever, but I would just kind of keep them chasing for now. Intercontinental title match, whether or not it would be on the pre-show or the main card, still is in question. The Intercontinental title has been built way up, but I'm trying to elevate some of the lower card guys. So it would still be Bo Dallas, Curtis Axel. I think Bo had won it last. So this would be like the rematch. I think it would be okay if it was bumped to pre-show and this actually started the pay-per-view, or if it was at the bottom of the card and you had these two guys put on a really good technical match. And it would pretty much be to see if either of these guys could really connect with the crowd to get over. So I would have Axel taking it back at this stage. Main event, Universal title match, Braun Strowman versus Randy Orton of Evolution. Strowman would win, and Triple H has reformed Evolution with Orton as the present guy and McIntyre as the next coming up guy, and you have Lars Sullivan in there. Everybody be down there at the ring trying to give their guy the upper hand. And none of it would matter really. Strowman is just so powerful. He would have just a definite major victory over Randy Orton, and even with Triple H at ringside and the other guys coming down, you could tease a cash in after the match. That would be a failed cash in, and you could even tease a little bit of Strowman versus Sullivan to kind of show that Sullivan is a pretty big badass, but not as bad as Braun Strowman. And Strowman walking out tall in this, leaving Evolution kind of with their ass handed to him. I think Braun would probably leave the ring before he would be too bad outnumbered, but he would get the upper hand on the guys pretty much. Probably Triple H for sure, and that would be Battleground right there with Strowman with a big mark on his back at that point. The next big pay-per-view would be building up to SummerSlam. So there would be quite a bit of build to SummerSlam between Strowman and Evolution and how that all would pan out. We had a short build to this pay-per-view from the last one, so it would still be like a work in progress in this pay-per-view. It was almost like a big Raw, kind of, really, in my opinion. So coming up next would be SummerSlam, and we're inching our way almost. We're halfway there to the next Rumble. So